Does that change the way that the world orders change moving forward?
I think the main thing with China right now is, we're on the brink of war with China for various reasons. I hope we make it to 2050.
In this engaging conversation, Ray Dalio and Chris Williamson discuss pressing global issues such as population decline, automation's impact on job distribution, and geopolitical challenges faced by countries like China and the United States. They examine the dangers of a zero-sum mentality and emphasize mutual growth and cooperation. The conversation also touches on the potential ban of apps like TikTok, which could deepen the East to the West divide. Lastly, they explore the mounting debt crisis and debate the possibility of a soft landing, considering whether the Federal Reserve can prevent a disastrous outcome. This concise discussion offers valuable insights into the complex challenges confronting the global community.
And one of the common life landmarks that people get to is having kids and getting married. At the moment, especially in the West, but also even more so in Asia, birth rates are falling through the floor. We've got 0.78, I think, in South Korea. We've got just around about 1 in Japan. China also looking really bad at the moment. How concerned are you about current population decline and future demographics?
Well, it's a real burden, and also depending on where it is, it's a real burden, because the young have to take care of the old. So let's say, for example, in China, with the one-child policy, a married couple has 4 old adults that they have to take care of. There's not an adequate social program, and that takes time and money, and it makes it, a great burden, makes productivity a problem. And so you see, like you say, you see this, these are burdens, costs, because those who need taking care of and are not earning money need those resources, and it's sapping. One hopes that productivity increases faster than this burden. But then it requires you have to, if you raise that, you have to then divide the pie well. So demographics is a burden.
You are maybe alluding there to stuff like AI, robotized workforces assisting in terms of getting more juice out of the smaller demographics that we do have, and the potential gains of that accruing to a small number of people that own that organization. You need a relatively small group to be able to, I don't know how many people are in the open AI company, but something tells me it's a significantly smaller number than the amount of impact that it's had and is probably going to have.
Right. So that's exactly right. So if the society as a whole can do that, what it will do is it'll naturally make some people very rich and some people very poor, but it can raise productivity enough that it can raise living standard. Let's just imagine robots always work there and you don't have to have people doing the jobs. Then what you have to deal with is, how do you redistribute the wealth and opportunity? Because, as I say, it'll be concentrated in some and others will lose jobs. And there's more productivity for the whole, but you have a distribution issue.
Are you familiar with Nicholas Eberstadt? Do you know him? He wrote Men Without Work.
No.
He came on the show last week. I think you'd be really interested. The book's very, very short. And he's discovered this odd cohort of men that are lurking inside of the unemployment statistics. There's 7 million men aged 22 to 55 in the US who aren't working and aren't looking for work. Only 10% of that number are students. From the remaining 6.7 million, about 2,000 hours is the average amount of time that they spend watching screens, and 50% of that time on average is spent whilst on either prescription medication or weed, recreational drugs. And 2/3 of those men are living in homes that claim at least one disability benefit. So basically, lurking inside of the low unemployment numbers is this cohort of prime working age men who don't have a job and don't want a job either. One of the potential downstream implications for that is, what does this mean for universal basic income? That if these men are able to be supported by social welfare, but they're not going out and enacting poetry, staring up at the stars, speaking their truth forward and dealing with the existential pain of living in a good way, this doesn't seem like they're flourishing particularly. And given the automation that's potentially coming down the pike, I wonder what that means.
Well, I think you paint, or he paints, an accurate picture, and obviously it's not good. As my wife was describing when she was dealing with that population, now it's very common for kids to come to school high, and then they have
what ages?
Oh, young ages. 10.
Wow. Okay.
Well, marijuana is readily available, and we have a number of these issues.
Thus far, we've addressed the population decline, particularly in Asia, and its implications on economies and societies as a whole. Dalio and Williamson have emphasized the need for increased productivity and redistribution of wealth in the face of automation and job displacement. They've also touched on the challenges of a growing population of unemployed men and the potential implications for universal basic income. Now we will move on to China. Following on from this, they discuss its demographic challenges and the potential for conflict with the United States. As stated in the introduction, the conversation also delves into the potential ban of TikTok, which could deepen the east to the west divide.
We've brought China up a couple of times, and I think, based on what I know about your work, the conflict between the USA and China, as China the ascending new power that may be overtaking the USA. However, we do have this perhaps unprecedented demographic collapse that China's facing. The best predictions that I've seen suggest that it's going to go from about 1.1 to 1.2 billion now to about 650 to 700 million by 2050. So it's pretty much getting chopped in half. Does that change the way that the world orders change moving forward?
I think the main thing with China right now is, we're on the brink of war with China for various reasons. I hope we make it to 2050. The demographics as I describe it. And by the way, them losing doesn't make us winning. Just so we're look at that, we hope everyone gets better. And the world economy, we hope everybody has a better way. Everybody loses in wars. And so, that's their set of circumstances, and it'll be what it'll be. I think the most important thing is, how do we deal with our circumstances? How do we become strong and healthy, financially healthy, productivity healthy, and so on. So, we could talk about the demographic problem in China, which is just what we talked about before in terms of, does robotics and productivity and all that make up for that? I don't know. But I really think we're projecting too much on the outside world. Okay, what do we do with China? What relevance? Well, we trade with China. We don't have to go to a military war with China. I mean, why would we? We shouldn't do that. And then if that's the case, what's the problem with them growing? Okay, but it's not very much Okay, let them grow and invent and let us grow and invent and share the inventions. That would be good. But the problems that we're facing are pretty much our own problems, the things we're talking about, and the breakdown of infrastructure and, all of that. So really, I think we should focus on that. And, maybe their demographics is a big burden or not. They have other big burdens too. We all do. But let's focus on how we can be as good as we can be.
To conclude today's episode, the discussion has covered various global concerns such as population decline, future demographics, the impact of automation on employment, and the potential for a soft landing amidst an economic downturn. The conversation has emphasized the importance of focusing on internal improvements, better productivity, and addressing distribution issues rather than assuming a zero-sum game in the global landscape. Furthermore, the potential for a stagflation environment characterized by slow economic growth and high unemployment, coupled with supply chain disruptions due to geopolitical tensions, presents a challenging outlook. It is crucial for individuals and nations to adapt and innovate to navigate these complexities and create a more sustainable and equitable future for all.